Hey, everybody! It is Thursday night time for Plausible Deniability. Woohoo! I'm Michael Cross.
I'm Brooke Bullock.
Johnny Payne.
Woohoo! Johnny's looking so cool. You're just so cool. You're always the cool kid.
Someone has to be.
I always wanted to be the cool kid. I was just like just a little left of cool. I was never really, I was never quite there. But I always wanted to be.
I was worried that my hair wasn't looking too great tonight, and so I'm thankful that Brooke was wearing a hat when I got here.
Brooke is wearing a hat because he knew there would be no competition, and Johnny actually might be a little bit disappointed. He might be like, Padawan, I've taught you better than that. What's wrong with your hair? So
my hair was kind of crazy too. I had to go back and do it.
I'm actually a little bit chilly in my house. We've been,
oh no,
I'm becoming an old man. Everything's fine, technology wise, knock on wood. But I become an old man where I'm like, Dad, turn that thermostat down. We can squeeze 3 pennies out.
Yeah.
I'd rather be cold and cuddle up with blankets than bring the heat. Yeah.
A few to continue the old man conversation of last week when it was so cold, I put a couple extra blankets on, and that added just this little bit of weight. And now I'm like, those people that have those weighted blankets, they might be into something because it was just super snuggly and It was great.
Curtis says you should be on the Lost Boys. Maggots, Michael. You're eating maggots.
Darling noodles, Michael.
Just noodles. It's a good show.
We saw that a few years ago, just to remind us of just how. There was, all of a sudden I saw a video, just kind of a montage, kind of a homage to the 80s. Like, man, there's some 80s movies I want to rewatch. It's been a long time. Some of them I haven't seen since they first came out. But
What'd you go with?
well, I was thinking about going on a John Hughes kick. Weird Science, 16 Candles, Pretty in Pink, Kind of Wonderful, Breakfast Club. My only problem with it is I watched some of Breakfast Club. And it's a lot harder to watch when you're at my age. Because you're like, children, stop that.
No, not me. I look for the documentary, the guerrilla-style documentary that those kids made about John Hughes. I think it's called "Don't Forget About Me." I talked about it on the show before. It's like 4 or 5 people just get in a van. And they're gonna drive to John Hughes' house and ask him where he's been and why he hasn't been making anything. And this is before he passed.
Right.
And along the way, they stop at people's houses, at Judd Nelson's house, at Molly Ringwald's house, because they live all spread out across the country, and they do interviews with them. It's really touching. It's really heartfelt. Yeah. It was a good documentary.
Yeah. That's awesome. As being older, as my wife's a teacher, we deal with and so when the kids are doing things that you're like, no, no.
You see it from the adult perspective, and you're like, oh, guys, come on.
But then there's Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. There's Uncle Buck.
Hey, if you want to kick it up from Breakfast Club Kids, you could go St. Elmo's Fire, and if you wanted to go a little bit more aged, you could go The Big Chill.
St. Elmo's Fire isn't John Hughes, is he? I don't think that's John Hughes.
It's 80s.
It was the Brat Pack. It's the original Brat Pack.
I mentioned this on our top movies that we did. That's sort of the order that you watch them if you're pretending you're watching a group of friends go from childhood through college through adult life.
Okay, so where are we at here? How many people we got so far? We got 6 people watching. About 4
minutes. Ruffles and Falcor. That's all that matters.
We got Curtis, Ruffles.
Curtis hasn't left since last episode.
He just stays on our channel.
It's ready to go.
You just sit here hitting refresh for 14 days. Glad you're here, Curtis.
Hey, some people call it dedication. Other people call it medication. It doesn't matter. He's there. So.
That's right.
Obsession. Sure.
Jack Burton. Me. Yes.
Me.
Have recently watched Big Trouble in Little. That's kind of a. I think probably about every 6 or 7 years I watch Big Trouble in Little China because I think it's
so good.
Yeah. It's one of those movies that you think this can't still be good. And it is. Which is mind blowing because there are some 80s movies you watch and you go, oh, that did not age well at all.
No.
Big Trouble in Little China is not one of those. It actually ages really, really well and is a really enjoyable show.
Is that the one where the doctor from Voyager plays the evil thing in the water?
No, you're thinking of Legend.
That's Legend, right. Okay, yeah.
When Robert Picardo played Meg Mucklebones in Legend with Tom Cruise and Mia Sara. Oh, I had the biggest crush on her. When and of course, Tim Curry is Satan. Just
well, of course. Everybody knows that.
So, I have a question. We're talking about these old movies, and most of them seem to be in the vein of fantasy. I'm going to ask this real fast while the chat's here and buzzing. When I find it weird when I go look at like Netflix or Hulu or something, or sometimes even when I'm looking at like books on Audible, you click on science fiction and like Legend or Lord of the Rings shows up. Mm-hmm. If you go to fantasy, Star Trek doesn't show up. Star Wars doesn't show up in the fantasy. I just wonder where that line is. It is anything that's fiction is fantasy. That's not true.
No, and it is what the problem is. It's movie execs, and they're just putting things in categories that that fit. No, they have no idea. They don't have a clue. And really, the truth is, Star Wars technically shouldn't be in sci-fi.
Yeah.
Star Wars, if you want to say sci-fi or fantasy, if that's the only two choices I've got, Star Wars is fantasy because Star Wars is space fantasy. It's space fantasy.
Yeah, space fantasy.
It's wizards and magical swords and
But I wouldn't put Lord of the Rings in sci-fi.
No. But then you also look at fantasy, and there's other things that even modern, like technically, the comic book movies.
Yeah, fantasy. I'm like, no. Those are action films.
If I'm,
those are action films.
See, the only reason I don't want to put them in action films is because my view of action films is 80s action films.
Big guns.
Yeah. It's
macho women with
it's muscles, it's
I'll be back.
Yeah. So that's where I'm like action, that's where I see act. Now, yes, it's action adventure without a doubt. But if I have to choose between fantasy and sci-fi, I'd put that in the fantasy category again because it is. Whereas Star Trek, with the possible exception of the Kelvin timeline, is right in the middle of science fiction. Yeah, every other Star Trek except for the Kelvin timeline, science fiction without a doubt.
I say movies. I completely agree with. Series, especially the TNG DS9 Voyager era, very science heavy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It is science fiction. It's because to me science fiction is very simple. It is simply pointing a finger at ourselves, and using a futuristic storytelling to look at ourselves. That's all true science fiction should ever be. But science fantasy, that can be anything. You can so.
Good conversation. Good conversation.
But yeah, I think the reason, I think Johnny, the reason it's in the wrong place is because people just don't. It's non-geeks categorizing.
Yeah. Oh, that nerd thing, put it under sci-fi.
Yeah. If you went to SoonerCon and said, okay, everybody, we're going to take here's 1,000 movies, divide them up, and the SoonerCon people could tell you, boom, 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 these all land under these categories. I think it'd be better. But
before we start the trivia, which I know is just the order of things, what's this video game Ruffles and Falcor is talking about? Battle Royale, Royal Rumble, Tournament of what?
Well, let's see. What is today? Today is January 25th. 1 month.
1 month.
Yes.
1 month from today. 1 month. Mark it on your calendars. See, it's 125 right now, so switch that over to 225. 225. February 25th, we are doing the Battle Royale Tournament of Champions at the Blue Note in OKC. It is Bruncheons and Dragons 3.
Sunday.
Yes, we are so excited.
Ticket pays for the whole seat, but you only need the edge.
Falcor, Ruffles and Falcor is DMing again, and he's already got a whole new plan. And this time, it's gonna be brunchier or Dragoner or something. I don't know.
Now
it's gonna be bigger.
Ruffles also said something else in the chat. He said start a rap battle.
What?
No.
Maybe we'll do that for Bruncheons 4.
The last thing you need is a white guy like me rapping. It's not no.
And Brooke will
Give
cheat.
you like 3 months to figure it out.
Yeah, and Brooke will cheat because he'll just use like Emily Dickinson poetry. I'll just be like, hope
that's
there's a thing of feathers that purchase it. I mean, just like, I'll just cheat. So.
I can use Shakespeare. Is that what you're saying? Okay,
I can
do.
man.
That I can do.
Yeah, your beat is the pentameter. Yeah.
Yes, as long as I've got the iambic pentameter, I'm good to go. So, yes. So the Blue Note OKC, it's down on Robinson and 23rd Street. Exactly 1 month from today on February 25th. Folks, if you're in Central Oklahoma, we'd love to see you. If you are not in Central Oklahoma, come see us. It's Oklahoma City.
Road trip.
Yeah, come on down. Actually, Thunder's doing well. Maybe you could come down and see us, then go see a Thunder game. Looks like they're number 1 in the West, so there's a lot of things to do here in Oklahoma City. You could come on down
and of the West.
Yeah. So, do come. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. We have Eminem version of Brooke. Oh, then no.
Do we have a Brooke version of Eminem?
That's right. Insert candy joke here. I don't know. So,
all right, trivia.
Oh. I'm the Kurgan. Of course you are.
There's the answers.
The Kurgan. See, there's another one. And Highlander. Man, I tell you.
So they're making it. So it's confirmed that.
Yeah.
I had heard
The Witcher.
I had heard Henry Cavill, but then
No way.
He said yes. He said he's secretly been attached to it for like over a year.
Finally somebody who could do a Scottish accent playing a Scotsman.
He's doing the Warhammer TV series for Amazon.
Yeah,
I knew that. I'd heard that too.
Yeah.
So,
that's good to know that he's just got a job. That's
barely in that Warhammer's just barely in development, right?
It's in a room right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're still supposed to maybe doing a D&D series. I haven't heard anything recently on that one either, but it'd be nice. So we'll talk more about that, what we're expecting and what we're hoping for in the next year. But right now, trivia. Ruffles and Falcor, yes. Elminster, no, unfortunately. Here we go. We're starting with Magic and Miscellany. The Codex of the Infinite Planes, a powerful and dangerous artifact, appears as a massive version of what common object? The Codex of the Infinite Planes, a powerful and dangerous artifact, appears as a massive version of what common object?
Henry Cavill, Superman, the Codex. Got it.
That's right. The cape. Curtis, you Spanish peacock.
Spanish peacock.
I am from. Can you not tell? I am from the Scottish Highlands. Don't you cannot tell by my accent that I am from the Scottish Highlands?
My ridiculous accent.
Yeah, and the only Scotsman actually played a Spaniard. I know, it's just
the man had lived for centuries. All the accents were crazy.
We bought it.
He probably spoke
Christopher Lambert just has that Christopher Lambert accent.
Curtis got it first. A book, which of course I thought the Codex. I mean, it's like the second word gives you the answer to the Yes.
Could it be as simple as a book?
Ruffles came in with a book, but Curtis had got it first, so a book is correct. So, moving on to history. What intermediary company did Wizards of the Coast have to acquire in order to buy TSR in 1997? What intermediary company did Wizards of the Coast have to acquire in order to buy TSR in 1997? Yeah, you pretty much have to know this one, just to know if you're not going to guess it.
Would it have been the TSR knitting company that they tried to do in the late? Would it have been? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a couple ridiculous guesses, but it might be right.
I don't think so. I don't think you could ever guess this one.
They're too ridiculous to say out loud, Brooke.
This is really something you would have to actually just know. You would never guess this answer.
Walden Books.
Now, can anyone remember what TSR stands for?
It's
Trans-Siberian Role-Playing.
No.
Never mind.
Tactical Studies.
Tactical Studies rules, right?
Yes, or tactical studies rules.
Strategies.
Or
studies.
tactical strategic rules, I think.
The Spaniard Ramirez.
British Petroleum. Yes, they had to buy PP. Wizards of the Coast owns BP.
Who are you so learned in the way?
Oh my gosh, Andrew, did you Google it? Andrew Googled it.
I wasn't really. Penguin Publishing?
No, Andrew.
Okay. I was going to say, that's a pretty big deal now.
No, Andrew. Not Ruffles, Andrew.
Oh.
Yeah. See, you're giving him too much time, Michael. You're letting Andrew throw 2 or 3 answers out there and not hearing that he's a winner, giving him time to Google.
Yeah. But yes, okay, we'll give it to you, Andrew. Five Rings Publishing Company. They were a spin-off of Alderac Entertainment Group. So, the Dutch East Indian Company.
The value had diminished greatly.
Yes, in 200 years it had actually gone down. All right.
I mean, they were still using sailing ships. So.
Oh gosh, that's fabulous. Monsters. That's what orange is. Monsters.
Woo-hoo.
Name 3 of the 6 standard types of mephits. Imp-like elementals, each composed of 2 kinds of elements. Name 3 of the 6 standard types of mephits. Imp-like elements, each composed of 2 kinds of elements.
I hate them mephits.
I hate them mephits.
Each composed of 2 types of elements.
Yes. And if you listen to, I mean, we don't shy away from mephits in Red Dirt D&D.
God, no.
We kind of have. There's something about them. They just keep popping up.
I'm tired of mephits. That's how much we use.
They do show up a lot. They show up a lot, and well, they're
I'm gonna play mephit in campaign 3. Decided.
They're a fun little, just a little creature that you can do that can either be kind of dangerous if it needs to be, or also just friendly if you need it to be. So again, Andrew, boom boom,
Woo.
mud, steam, ice, boom.
Woo. Germs in the house, just a little slow with ice, magma, and mud.
Yep. The total, there's dust. Of course, that's earth and wind. Ice, which is air and water, I believe. Magma, which is earth and fire. Mud, which is earth and water. Smoke, which is fire and air, I believe. Air. And steam, which is water and fire. So,
very nice.
There you go. Then, of course, Curtis in with musical. Which is a combination of dance and song. It's,
yes.
It's a musical.
It's a musical.
Something Rotten. That's a great play. It's a great musical.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway. Dust in the Wind. No, not the Highlander reference. God, you're killing me. I mean, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Dust in the Wind. Heart.
That's from the series.
Yeah, it's from the series. Dust in the Wind from the series.
I think of Kansas.
Well,
yeah, it's Kansas does
that's
it.
exactly yes.
I don't.
Something very tragic happens in the series, and they play Dust in the Wind.
I've tried. Someday I want to go back and rewatch that maybe. But anyway,
it's good. I've rewatched it in the past few years.
Have you? Huh.
It's a struggle, but it's good. It's okay.
Yeah, Andrew's 20 seconds ahead of me, Ruffles. All right.
Slide that bar, Ruffles. Slide that bar.
There we go. Entertainment. No, that's pink. It's what's entertainment? No, pink. What's pink? Remind me.
She's an artist, and
combination of red and white.
Yeah.
It's a pink method.
Gosh, what is? I can't remember. It's not characters. It's adventures. That's right. It's adventures.
Oh, adventures.
But pink, of course, is entertainment in the original. Yeah. Okay. In Adventures, Horde of the Dragon Queen opens with an attack on what town located on the old Dune Trail in the Green Fields? And this one I actually know without even having to look at it.
Sweet.
I enjoyed Horde of the Dragon Queen. I really enjoyed. That was one of my first adventures that I ran in 5e, or not ran, but was part of. I didn't DM it. I was a player in that, and my son and I both did Horde of the Dragon Queen, and really, really enjoyed it. So
there you go. Because it's set in Forgotten Realms, so shouldn't the answer be Waterdeep?
It's always water. It's either that or Baldur's Gate. And no,
they've got a place other than Phandelver. There's 4.
Yeah, now it's a small town, so that's why it's not either, because Panama, Zoot Suit Riot,
Panama, the Van Halen song.
Hamlet. Oh, Hal takes you back to Hamlet.
Oh. Yes.
Temple of Elemental Evil. Good.
Yes.
It's not correct, Hal, but thank you for that little flashback. Andrew, boom. Greenest.
Oh, Ruffles and Falcor with the great guess in Silvery Moon.
Yeah. So, there we go. Andrew take it away.
I tell you what. Curtis came in and grabbed a lead change, but now Andrew's just kicking butt. He's not going to let anybody take the title.
The next one, I can tell you, it's going to be about who types it the fastest. Because everyone's going to know this. So get ready. Everyone is going to know the answer to this as soon as I start it. So, here we go. In characters, which character class is a scoundrel who uses stealth and trickery to overcome obstacles and enemies?
Johnny Payne.
Which character class is a scoundrel who uses stealth and trickery to overcome obstacles and enemies? A hive of scum and villainy.
Give them 20 seconds to catch up, and then watch the chat explode.
Yeah.
Andrew got
it.
Nope. But did he?
Well, that's true. That's true. Okay.
I mean,
I'm gonna. You know what, Johnny? I am going to let you be the decider on this one because technically Andrew got it. However, he spelled rouge.
He spelled rouge.
The only time I will allow this, because we all spell rouge,
I'll
give it to Andrew.
Okay.
Oh, curses.
But from this moment forward, Andrew, you're never allowed to spell it that way again.
I know. It's hard. You really want to spell it Rouge. I don't know why. But yes.
On rogue.
Ruffles, at least you know Andrew's not using the internet for spell check. At least you know
there you
that.
go, yes. Okay, Andrew, you wouldn't have a clean sweep because I think Curtis got the first one. So, but you can make it 5 out of 6 on this one. This could be a little difficult. Okay. In cosmology, the final question, cosmology.
Andrew.
The Acroan War, the Caliphea, and the Theriad are epic tales from which Greek-inspired campaign setting? The Acroan War, the Caliphaea, and the Theriad are epic tales from which Greek-inspired campaign setting? Ruffles and Falcor, you might be able to get this one. The Acroan War, the Caliphaea, and the Theriad are epic tales from which Greek-inspired campaign setting? We'll see. We'll see. Nope. Andrew. Oh, Ruffles. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
We gotta get you a faster internet.
Gotta get you some faster speakers. Or keyboard typing.
Yeah,
words.
it is Theros. And Andrew even capitalized it. So, way to go, Andrew.
He learned his lesson. He can be taught.
Yes, great job, everybody. By the way, also in other news of things we will be doing, I have been in touch with Mike Dadalo of TokenCon.
Oh, yeah.
And we are going to do D&D Trivia in their showroom, not in just a room we are actually doing it, performing it live.
That'll be fun.
Like we did at SoonerCon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we're going big.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we will be doing that,
awesome.
and we will also have a one of the Q&A type things. He asked me about it, and I said, "We'll definitely want to do that." I'm not certain if we're going to stay with Red Dirt D&D or whether we might use one of our other shows to do a Mysteries of Beatrix, the Red Dirt Outlaws. Not sure yet, but I do know that we will be
all together in a blender. I like it.
We could, but it will be TokenCon. So come on down. We will be doing that on TokenCon. I think that's March 14th. I think it's the 14th, 15th, 16th, something like that, because it is the week. I think it's the weekend before St. Patty's Day, or the weekend. It's the 15th, 16th, and 17th. So the weekend of St. Patty's Day. So
that's right.
Yeah, we're gonna have.
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm. Which the patron hangout is always on the 15th of odd months, so we might have a chance to do that live.
That would be neat. That would be really neat. I love that idea. So come on down, TokenCon. Come on down to Brunches and Dragons 1 month from today.
Woo!
So far we've had a good crowd. Unfortunately, last time it was like 30 degrees outside. So we had our hardcores, but we didn't have any of our walk-ins. So we're really hoping February 25th is a little bit better than whatever October right before Halloween was last year. So we should be really good to go. But it's going to be exciting. Either way, it's going to be a lot of fun. We have a blast, and we're excited to put on this thing that I don't think anyone else is doing. Other people do kind of live actual play,
locally, anyway.
But certainly not locally. But
even
the ones that Oklahoma. Even the ones that are doing it nationally, internationally, they're not doing anything what Mark is doing. So this audience participation thing that we're doing, it's unique, guys. If you haven't gone, I've had a lot of people say they were a little bit disappointed they couldn't come to the last couple of them. I do know they're coming. Hopefully the weather will be good. So
the first one was the audience helping out by rolling the dice for us. The second one was the audience versus the monsters. Just to give you a clue, Brunches and Dragons 3, it's in Mark's title, the Battle Royale Royal Rumble Tournament of Champions.
It's going to
be so much. I want to wear a disguise and be in the audience. I don't want to be in the cast for this one. This is going to be awesome. It's going to be so much fun.
It is going to be fun. Okay. So we're halfway through the hour already, and we have not even talked about anything about D&D. Let's talk real quick. Do you want to talk VR, or do you want to talk the 2023?
Let's talk about Bob.
All right. So 2023 was unrolled by the D&D Beyond because they have it's all ones and zeros. They've got all the stats for it, so they've got all the stats of who did what. They have The average age of characters in 2023 was 28 years old. The average current level of characters created was 4.77.
A lot of AL players.
Yes. The names, the most popular, still Bob, second year in a row.
And I gotta say, I just don't get it.
I do.
mean, probably because my role play style is, I tilt towards serious with like cutting up in the middle of the show, right? But you know, I want like a serious name and serious things. But you get it, Michael. You get it.
I do. Said. Well, okay. First off, I had when I played the first time I ever played a long running character was with Mark. With Billy Bob the Bugbear Barbarian. So
there you go.
Yeah. And Ruffles, he'd tell Billy Bob the Bugbear Barbarian was hopefully fun. But then, so our Friday night group, we're doing one, and I had a Grenadier miniature from my father, which was a wizard. And so I created a wizard based off of this old, like from the early 80s that he had painted. My father's name is Bob. It still is Bob. He's still alive. His name is Bob, and so I thought, well, I'm going to name my wizard Bob, and so that's for me is why, because there's 3 generations of D&D players in my family, and so that's why I named Bob. But it makes sense. What are you going to name the character? I don't know. He's Bob.
Yeah, I have. Excuse me. If you open up my D&D Beyond, I have like 20 versions of Zonimus.
Oh yeah.
Because I made one for him for every level that he could possibly be. Looking forward to seeing what I'd want or whatever.
Oh, cool.
But whenever I'm making something that's like, I just want to do I want to play this druid subclass? What are they like at 10? I'll just jump in and make one, and I call it Druid Test 10.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's a Druid that I'm testing at level 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
awesome.
As far as like the Bob name goes, this 10-year Vampire the Masquerade World of Darkness campaign I ran, anytime someone asked the name of the bartender or the cab driver, it was Steve. And if you heard the name Steve, there was no jokes made or anything like that. I didn't break character. It was just, this guy is not important, and doesn't matter. You know, there were a few times that they made Steve important. It was actually a cab driver. I was like, "What's your name, Steve?" "Okay, Steve, listen, I'm going to give you $1,000. I need you to take this tape to this address."
Yes.
And then Steve kind of got embroiled into this plot a little bit, but Steve was my go-to name for that.
When I'm DMing, it's always Kevin.
Really?
Yeah, that's my go-to NPC name. If I don't have an NPC name and someone says, "Hey, I'm sorry, what's your name?" "Kevin," and then it to say to my players, "Okay, I haven't done. This guy's not important."
Yeah.
Which sets you up then to, have the NPC that will be the evil genius that stabs them in the back.
His name. I know.
Right. Because then they're all like, "Oh, okay, it's Kevin."
Oh, it's Kevin. Don't have to worry about him. He's fine. Like 2 scenes later, Kevin is petting a cat. You never suspected Kevin.
He's in charge. Pulls the mask off. I would have gotten away with it too.
Some real quick, the names that saw the most growth: Link, a 23% increase; Seraphina, 18%; and Lyra, a 6% increase there. Your most declined were Bruno, Eddie, and Rando. Make a character named Rando. This is the Rando.
Isn't Rando the first one it offers you, or do they change that?
I think they changed that. That
there
might
was
be
some
why.
character generator out there where, but the default name was always Rando.
Oh, that might be why it's declined. If they changed
until
that.
You had accepted that as your name, then it stopped being Rando.
No, because I think it's always been when I put it on it has like the Oberon 2769 my code my username.
Right.
Maybe it was another one then. Every time
So species. What do you think is the most popular species?
Tiefling. It's human.
Of course, it's human. It's always human, which is weird because that's the last thing I ever want to play, unless it's variant human because they get the.
I think some people are just using it probably to get the spell lists, so the race doesn't matter. They just like, what can this thing do with this level real fast? And
yeah, but
instead of going in and looking in the books for it or whatever within the app, they're just like, let me make a level 10 one and then check the spell list.
Yeah, not surprising. Human and elf, number 1 and 2, makes sense. You know, number 3 kind of surprises me. Dragonborn.
Really?
Yeah. Dragonborn followed by Tiefling. So,
Dragonborn, I knew Tiefling would be high on the list.
And what's weird, half elf. I always loved half elf. You get +2 to your, and you get +1 to 2 others. It's actually probably the best one out there, except for variant human, which gets you the feat. But still, half elf comes in 5th, and then you got dwarf, halfling, half orc. And I mean, if you go back to the first edition, where it was human, elf, half elf, dwarf, halfling, and half orc, it took me a long time before I don't think I've ever played a Dragonborn, and have I played a Tiefling? I'm sure I have, but
that just shows to me that you have standards. That's all it means.
That's right.
And I'm proud
it just
of
means
you for
I'm old school. I mean, that's all it means. I'm old school.
Yeah. It's interesting too that you look at it for the stat bonuses.
Oh, yeah.
And little perks here and there. I look at it as role play. I don't want to role play a Dragonborn.
Oh, that makes sense.
You know,
I guess that you're right. You're absolutely right. That's because if I wanted to go for stats and stuff, Dragonborn is actually not a bad one at all. Especially they get the fire breath. They get and the new gem Dragonborns are pretty phenomenal. Tieflings have all that magic, So I'm kind of again. I think it's just an old school of me. When I first picked up the 5e Player's Handbook, I'm like, a Dragonborn and a Tiefling, what?
I agree. I lean towards the human. Any of the elf versions,
half elf. That's
more so than anything else.
And halflings are fun. Dwarves, of course. You can't go wrong with a dwarf. And my very first creation in 5e was a half orc. It was a half orc barbarian.
Really?
So yeah, I mean, it was something that I've always wanted to play ever since the first edition was a half orc barbarian, and so I never got a chance to. So like, boom, I knew immediately I was playing that. So
I know that my old schoolness really set me as a bias to not like Dragonborn when I first opened up the 5e book. I was just like, what is this? Or maybe even the 4e book, but had a friend in a 5e home game that played a Dragonborn, and he was an old school player. And so I, trying not to be snooty about why would you choose Dragonborn? And he led me to look at some of the Forgotten Realms lore about Dragonborn, and they're actually pretty. The lore for them is really nice. Like, I don't want to play one per se, because maybe, I don't know, like Draconians from, Dragonlance or whatever, but the lore for these guys is really interesting.
It really is fantastic.
Yeah. So.
And Aiden plays Dragonborn. He does really well at playing Dragonborn. So, yeah. So we go to classes. What do you think's the number 1?
Human fighter? Is it fighter?
It's always fighter. Oh my gosh. And here's the funny thing: in 5e, I've not played a straight up fighter. I haven't either. I've played multi-class fighters. I've played a fighter who ended up multi-class, but I've never played a straight up fighter. Now, the number 2, I've got rogue. I've played a straight up rogue. I've played several straight up rogues, and then barbarian. You'll notice it's fighter, rogue, barbarian. What do they all have in common?
Melee.
Big sticks.
No magic. It gets a little more complicated once you get into wizard, paladin, warlock, which I am kind of surprised. It's fighter, rogue, barbarian, then wizard, paladin, warlock, and then cleric. I'm like, cleric is one of the best classes out there.
I think if you went back 20 years ago and could look at this, cleric would be higher on the list.
Yeah.
I think it's the video game mentality of I want to play a character that does damage, and clerics aren't supposed to be doing damage.
Right.
They're supposed to be healing.
Well, I think you're absolutely right, Johnny, and I think there's actually it's not just that, but because of 5e, the cleric you had to have a cleric in your party.
Yeah, you can't die, so why have a cleric?
Well, it's not just you can't die, but everybody has healing in some way or another. First off, there's healing potions,
exactly.
but then there's the healer's kit. There's you can survive without a cleric as your healer, but now let's go beyond that. I'm talking about cleric in 5e, trickery cleric, twilight cleric, light cleric. Cleric is so cool because of the diversity in 5e. It goes beyond healing. You can do so many great things with being a cleric. That's why I think it's you could have a party of clerics and no one would be the same.
Yeah.
You would have your rogue cleric, you'd have your fighter cleric, you'd have your sorcerer cleric, you'd have So I'm surprised.
Or you just have a healing cat.
Yeah. So after cleric we go ranger, bard, druid, sorcerer, monk, which I'm still kind of surprised about. Monk's actually a very easy class to play if you want to play a non-spellcasting. Yeah, but of course the last is artificer, which I've tried artificer. I'm not good at it at all. That it takes a special type of person to play artificer, and I played with them. I've played with artificers who were like up here, and they're so good. You having an artificer by someone who knows how to play that character class in your party, phenomenal. It is so great, but you got to know how to play it because it's hard. It's not an easy one at all. Anyway, there were 13 million searches. The top words were druid and dragon.
Not Dungeon and Dragon.
Not Dungeons and Dragon, but Druid.
Druid and Dragon. In the mobile app, 7 million spells were cast. 1.9 million players rolled dice 141 million times. 6 million new characters were created, and character sheets opened 80 million times.
Wow.
That's just... Yeah, and I remember in 2017 when there was that battle of who was going to be the go-to app for D&D. When there was all these fights on character creation and stuff, and when D&D Beyond finally fought, I think they would be surprised if they knew that 6 million new characters opened 80 million times. I'm sure they're pretty thrilled. Yeah. Anyway, so that's a look back at 2023. Looking ahead.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys want to do some virtual reality Dungeons and Dragons?
With technology or just my brain?
I do it anyway with my brain.
The fun thing is so I haven't looked at it too much, Michael. Maybe you've seen it. Is it multiplayer?
Oh, they don't know yet. It's way too soon. We don't know.
Is it turn-based?
No. They just got the contract.
Right, I know, but I don't know if they had plans listed or whatever.
Right.
Because the company that's making it has made a turn-based multiplayer VR game that I've actually been eyeballing for my MetaQuest. But yeah, it's a very interesting concept. I've thought for a long time, ever since you could get the Star Trek bridge crew on VR, I was like, why aren't they doing this with D&D?
Very cool.
And
it's Resolution Games is who's making it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think the first time that I saw the holodeck in 1987, and I went, I want that in D&D. And that's what VR is. I mean, especially if they make it like. Apparently, I have not played Baldur's Gate. I've watched Baldur's Gate played. I've watched some. So if they make the virtual reality like they did with Baldur's Gate, if they treat it with that kind of respect to the D&D rules and the 5e system, it's going to be mind blowing. And that's what D&D Beyond would like. They would like to eventually do but at a tabletop. So you'd sit around with your VR headset, and you'd have a DM walking you through it. You'd go through. You could see all your miniatures walking around, and things like that. So,
yeah. I'd rather it be more like I'm playing in an adventure game, like I'm playing Skyrim with my friends.
Right.
with
Right.
D&D rules.
No, that's what this. That's what this company's going to do.
yeah.
They're going to make Baldur's Gate virtual reality. But I'm saying D&D and Beyond also wants to do a thing where you're playing Roll20, where somebody's in Amsterdam, someone's in Japan, someone's in California, and you're sitting in Oklahoma, and everyone puts on their VR headset, and you're sitting around a table, a virtual table, and playing the game. I think that could be kind of cool, because the beauty of playing Dungeons and Dragons is sitting around a table. And unfortunately, I think we are blessed to be living in a time where we can do it virtually. We can do it online if we have to. But wouldn't it be great is if I have to do it online, maybe I'm in a place, maybe I'm in, some rural area of Alaska where I can't get together at a table. But I can get online. Wouldn't it be great if I could get online and we could all be sitting at a virtual table around with my friends? I think that would be wonderful. A wonderful opportunity for people who can't necessarily get to an actual adventuring table.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think we're going to see them take probably some of the skins or the background, or maybe even some of the cinematography for their virtual miniature tabletop, and then that becomes part of that. Instead of rotating around your mini, now it's rotating around you.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's tabletop simulator, and if you could get VR into that, it's like you're sitting at a table and all the game pieces are out and everything. So now they just need to really commit to some VR development, and that would be exactly what Michael's looking at. Is you come to. Yeah. They even have an option. I don't know if any of you have ever played it or anyone in chat has. There's actually an option you can toggle it off or on, table flip. So if you get frustrated enough in the game, like Catan, you can literally flip the table and in the game for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I think it would be a lot of fun to be able to experience it. I've never really done any kind of virtual reality, only because I haven't gotten around to anyone who's got the headset or anything like that, or going to one.
The only thing I've ever done is like at Dave and Buster's, or what's the other one? That Main Event. Right. They have the Star Wars one, right, where you have the lightsaber handles and you put down the thing over your head, and so.
Yeah, and
I'm sitting right over there.
Yeah, I've been to those places, but I've not. Yeah, someday, if they did virtual reality Dungeons & Dragons like Baldur's Gate 3, I might have to actually get a virtual reality headset, because that would just be amazing, just to experience that. And I'm hoping it's multiplayer. I'm hoping if they did it right, it would almost be best, don't you think, and this is up to Johnny, as an MMO, like EverQuest and do you think that would be the best way to do it, or a straight up video game like Baldur's Gate?
I think it would be fun to make it small party.
Okay.
So like you and up to 4 to 6 other people could jump in and run together closely. That will help with lag, bandwidth, not having to create instances. All the development is a side thing. It'll run client side more so than server side. I think if you went MMO for it, that's perfectly fine too. The DDO game, Dungeons and Dragons Online, not Neverwinter, but DDO. It is MMO in that respect, but once you're grouped up and playing, it's like there's no one else in the world but you and your group.
Oh, okay.
Kind of a feel. But yeah, I think small party, like Baldur's Gate, has the option for it, and then go.
Yeah, I just think it'd be a lot of fun, and it'd be kind of cool to just kind of get around with some friends and actually play Dungeons and Dragons in a that kind of setting. And apparently the company they have picked is like one of the best in virtual reality. So we've got a good company doing it. It's just going to take them a while to develop it. It just that's not an easy thing to do.
And now everybody could LARP without the embarrassment of being in public.
Exactly.
But I want that embarrassment.
I've never LARPed.
How do we get new people to join our group if they don't see us throwing fireballs in the park?
I want to throw beanbags and scream fireball. Yeah. my boffer sword, my Nerf sword. Going to Red Bear, yeah.
They did LARP at SoonerCon a few years back, and they never brought it back. I want to do that someday. I want to do the LARPing thing. I don't.
The vampire LARP is really it's good because you can just all you have to do is just wear your street clothes.
Yeah.
You don't have to like have special outfits and stuff.
Right,
Everything
right.
is resolved with rock paper scissors. It's it's a lot of like mystery and intrigue
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. But it's more laid back because of that.
Right.
Yeah, you go out to the SCA events, and that's where they're doing the big, swords, and if you get hit too many times in the arm, your
Yeah.
arm,
Yeah. Yeah. That's there you go. Like the difference between LARP and Society for Creative Anachronism, right?
Oh,
where
yes,
you
yes,
get out
yes.
there and really whack at each other. Like that's awesome. So
Yeah, and I have been to SCA events. I have definitely been to SCA events, and
Mhm.
and oh, phew, one weekend at SCA event, it was a great,
That'll do you.
it was an amazing experience, something I will never ever forget. But
That's why their T-shirts literally say "No shit, there I was." ...
yeah,
Because that's how all stories begin within the SCA.
yeah, there was it's what happens in the SCA stays in the SCA. Uh,
They say it stands for sex crazed adults.
but
I've heard stories.
yeah, it's
I
a
know
lot.
people.
It's a lot of fun. But
Yeah.
I would love to do some kind of LARPing. I'm looking. I don't know. I think I am looking more forward to this year's conventions than I have in a while.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be really good, really fun. We're now far and away from COVID to where people are starting to get more comfortable with getting together.
Yep.
So it could be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a good time.
What would you with don't go like you've won the lottery or anything, but say, within a small budget, what do you think your go-to LARP would be? Would you throw in some half-orc tusks and go
Oh no, I think I'd go elf without a doubt. I've got my ears. I'd go because I've got the garb to go elf, and so I think that's where I would probably go.
there you go.
Got the walking stick. Probably go wizard.
Very nice. Very nice.
Of course,
And Johnny, you actually go ahead, Michael.
no.
And Johnny, you actually helped organize and ran some vampire things in the 90s, right?
Yeah, so there used to be a con, I'm sure Michael's maybe heard of it, called Dark Con.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big deal in the 90s, and they were about to go completely in the negative, not be able to put any more cons on or anything. And myself and a couple of friends from Tulsa set out and wrote a 2-night LARP, made the characters. We had vampires, werewolves, and here and there a couple of ghosts, a couple of wraith from the World of Darkness setting. And it was great. I mean, people came out for it. We had run of and I think it was just more of a time of people were trusted then. We had run of the entire hotel all night long, every room.
Wow.
So every banquet room, every side room that was a breakout room, everything. No doors were locked, and there was no. Well, we told them that we'd be out by midnight, and then we come back the next morning at 6. No, we ran the hotel, the convention center side of it, and it was great. I mean, you get enough people going, and that's the weird thing is, like I've been at Gen Con before, and they run a Vampire LARP, a Dresden Files LARP, and a Deadlands LARP, where it's a zombie apocalypse in the Old West.
Mm-hmm.
All three of them at the same time, and 3 different production companies are putting them on. And it's like, well, that's great, but if you just did one, you would have, of those 150 people that are playing all 3 of them, you might have 125 people playing one.
Yeah.
And the more you have playing it, the more the game just runs itself.
Mm-hmm.
You just drop in a couple of plot points here and there, and yeah. But yeah, they're great. They're great fun. They're fun to run, fun to write, fun to play in.
So, is there anything you guys are looking forward to in 2024?
Oh yes. No, wait. Andor season 2 is probably 2025, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, I think they canceled 2024 for it.
Was it the strikes?
The last lineup, they've got so much stuff they're working on that they kind of pushed it a little bit.
Yep. Dune 2.
Dune 2.
Dune 2.
Yeah.
Got pushed back. That did get pushed back because of the strike.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Isn't they're redoing Shogun? Yes.
Are they?
Are they really?
I think they're redoing Shogun.
There was a great article, I think it was in the Tulsa World, about the number of movies that are coming out this year. Every one of them is based off of something that has been done before. It's either a sequel, a remake, or or some variation thereof.
Mm-hmm.
There's the majority of movies coming out in the next year are all that. They're either sequels, remakes, retellings, prequels. There's a whole bunch of very little. That happened. I think that happened. I think it was 2012 was another year where it was just every now and then it cycles that there's this one year where very little original stuff comes out. Yeah. It's all based off. It's either a sequel of something that came out a couple of years ago, or sequel of something that came out 30 years ago and is now it's like the Top Gun Maverick thing. So
they're playing it really safe. It's like, hey, this made a lot of money. Let's just do it again for the modern audience and see if it'll make more. And sometimes it does and doesn't. Yeah. My 2024, I'm looking for. I haven't been to Ren fairs in a while since COVID because I didn't want to go to a Ren fair and wear a mask.
Yeah.
So we're looking at going to some of the big ones.
Where?
Like Scarborough Fair.
Oh, Texas.
Waxahachie. Yeah, the ones that last like 2 or 3 months long. Mm-hmm. Every weekend is a theme. You go and you get a hotel and you stay. 3 days.
Have you ever been to the castle? Have you ever been to the Muskogee Castle?
It's okay. It's not bad. So the pattern.
Yeah, it's not as big as Scarborough, but for Oklahoma.
Right. The pattern is you go to in April. You go to Norman.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And Norman is pure vendor fair. Norman is where you go to buy the things that you want to wear to the bigger fairs.
Yes.
You go to Muskogee to get a little taste of the bigger fair in May and buy and finish off the outfits that you caught in April. And then in June, you head to Scarby.
Yeah.
And you go, my God, it's too hot. Why did I do this in the summer? And then in October, November, you go to TRF and go, man, this is nice. All this heavy garb is working out. Texas Renaissance.
Oh, Texas, yeah. I haven't been there.
That's sort of the way you make the rounds. That's the pattern I used to follow. When you go to those big ones, the food, when you go get food, it's not out of a trailer with a generator pumping out noxious fumes back. It's a hut or a straw house or something.
Very
People
cool.
when they're making it artesian style and brick. And they categorize at Scarby. They categorize it off. Over here they have the German court. Over here is like the Italian court, etc. And so if you want schnitzel, you have to go to the German court. Yeah. You have to walk to that part of the fair. And if you're just going and walking through and not stopping and watching shows and not going into places, it takes half a day to walk the whole park.
Yeah.
If you're stopping and watching shows, if you're going into places and shopping and taking part in craft things and stuff, you need the whole weekend.
Yeah.
I've been known before to get a season pass and go 2 or 3 times.
Oh,
that's cool.
That would be so.
The biggest one I've been to is Kansas City, the Kansas City Ren Fair.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah. Yeah.
It's really really nice and was but I want to do Scarborough one time because it's just seems that's what people say. It's just like, oh my gosh,
it's magical.
Yeah.
It's in
the Colorado. I went to the one in Colorado back in the early '90s, and it was, you were traveling back in time to it was a medieval village. It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's how I felt about Kansas City, and then people say both of those others are just as good or better.
Now Scarborough's that's the dream. Everybody, everyone talks about Scarborough, but would love to go do something like that at some point. These are the kind of things that I might do more when I retire.
If you're the drinking persuasion, Scarborough vendors sell Scarborough mead that is made at a winery in Grapevine, Texas, specifically for Scarborough Fair. You can get mead at TRF, but it's just like the liquor store mead.
Yeah.
But they have a special that they make just for Scarborough.
Like true mead, like with honey and.
Yeah, like
Oh,
by
that's awesome.
default, it's room temperature. They ask
Yeah,
you
yeah,
if you
yeah.
want it chilled, and yeah, and stuff. Yeah, it's
Yeah. Now that
yeah.
it was actually at the castle when somebody came up to me with some haggis.
Oh yeah.
And now
Mhm.
here's the thing: I know what haggis is, so I'm not stupid. I know exactly what haggis is. But when they have it, they had it on like a little paper towel, and it's ground up meat. So I'm like, it's ground beef. I'm like, how could this be bad? Oh, it is nasty. I don't know how I don't know how Scottish people can handle this stuff. It is nasty food. It is horrible. Because I thought it was just some. I know what it is, but it looked like just ground beef.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I learned a long time ago: don't eat anything that someone just randomly hands you at fair.
Well, they didn't just randomly hand. They said it's haggis, and I'm like, so I knew
Yeah.
what it again. I knew what it was.
What's
But
fun is at the big ones like Scarby and TRF, they have the campgrounds out to the side, and you can pre-reserve space and everything.
oh wow.
And people will get out there and get bonfires going.
Mm.
Tartanic, the big bagpipe drum crew, will go out there and play, and people have like stews, and they're living. They're staying in the moment when it's over, and they go camp.
Yeah.
And the food is it's they're great. The food is so good at fair.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Are you going to
Not
Scarborough
Indian
Fair?
tacos from a truck,
Yeah, no.
like Norman has. But
So you're saying there's no Chick-fil-A at the fair?
That's right.
Chick-fil-A night, I gotta go.
Chick-fil-A night for you, man.
That's right.
It is.
All right,
I gotta
guys.
go. Look, can I show this off?
That's so wrong. All right, guys. It has been a fantastic night. We had some great talk, and we are going to be. Everyone, make sure to check out new episode of Mysteries of Beatrix dropped on Wednesday. We also had a new episode of Red Dirt Outlaws dropped on Tuesday. New episode of Red Dirt D&D dropped yesterday. What else I got? I don't know.
There's little outtakes and audiogram things popping up all over on Twitch, not Twitch, Twitter, and
YouTube.
X and YouTube.
So if you see something on this station, if you're watching and you're chatting, go to our other YouTube things, share them with everybody, let them know that this station, this channel is really blowing up. So yeah, we're really excited about all the things going on. So